Hey everybody, how's it going? Zach here, and I'm back with another video for you today. Today I want to talk about why I am no longer a social justice warrior and why I absolutely don't want to have anything to do with social justice warriors unless you are somebody who is open to having a discussion. Which is going to lead me to my first point. The reason why I no longer am a social justice warrior, and for that matter, why I disagree with a lot of third wave feminists and social justice warriors out there, is because of one of their biggest character traits, and that is intolerance. Social justice warriors and third wave feminists today are the most intolerant people I have ever come across. You know, if you have a differing opinion or you have a different idea you want to bring to the table, if it is not in line with what they are protesting for and what they're advocating for, then you are automatically shut down. They get mad at you, they berate you, they call you belligerent, racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever it may be, because you even brought up another idea. Obviously, this tends to happen in the academic environment in college, which is usually the breeding ground for a lot of social justice warriors. That's usually actually where a lot of people start, and then they get into the real world, and then they find out that it's actually not what it is, and either you have a reality check or you become even more intolerant of the world around you. So intolerance is one of the biggest things. How can there be learning? How can there be progress and change if you are intolerant of other people's ideas? You know, if you are somebody who comes from a background where maybe you were not as informed on the nuances of cultural appropriation and you speak of a different view, you'll be berated for it. You know, you'll be ostracized and called out for being ignorant. It's like, well, you don't know any better. But unfortunately, intolerance, which leads to stubbornness and, you know, the inability to foster new thinking, is one of the reasons why social justice warriors have a lot of their beliefs just, I don't know, it's just out of whack. It's something that I personally don't support anymore, and I'm not ashamed of my past when I was in college and I was more left-wing, but I do understand why, essentially, I don't want to be associated with that anymore. The second reason is identity politics, you know, and arguably one of the biggest things. When you feel like you are speaking for everybody, when in reality not everybody feels that way, you know. If a feminist woman comes out and is advocating for pro-choice and abortion rights, well, not every woman feels that way, you know? Or you're a feminist and you feel like you're speaking for all women. Well, not all women are feminists. As a matter of fact, in the Western world, only 17% of women are actually feminists. So that's another problem that I have with third-wave feminism and social justice warriors, for that matter, is the topic of identity politics. You know, you feel like you are speaking for a group of people who may not actually share the same sentiment as you, you know? That is another issue as to why I no longer identify as one and why I just don't really want to be around social justice warriors. Another thing is that you are motivated by conformism. You know, when people go out and protests, well, you're just doing it because you disagree with the government and you disagree with our president and you just don't like him very much. And this is one of the biggest things because I find that social justice warriors, for that matter, are some of the most misinformed people on the planet. Or I would say, whenever you go and you ask them what you're protesting about, what you're advocating for, a lot of them usually cannot give you a straight answer. I participated in a protest that involved a lot of people who were protesting our current president right now, and I asked them, you know, why do you disagree? Or, you know, what is it about Trump that you don't like? And aside from the obvious internet jargon of, oh, he's a racist, sexist person, there was really no other things that these social justice warriors could talk about, you know? It was very like, well, I don't like him because of this, or, you know, he doesn't like Mexicans. You know, all of these things that are, number one, false, but also they have no weight, they have no water. Clearly you didn't do your research before you sort of formulated an opinion. So what are you protesting for? All you're doing is you are just going with whatever the mainstream tells you. You know, you basically just consume anything that CNN talks about, and you are motivated by conformism, which is one of the biggest things. And, you know, I talked about this in another video, but after swallowing the red pill, it's good to evaluate the facts and not just go with what you see. It's another reason why I'm no longer an SJW. And a big thing, and arguably one of the biggest reasons why social justice warriors, unfortunately, are handed the short stick, is usually the feelings over facts. aspect of them. Take it from any sensible person who's coming from a perspective of facts. That just seems to be something that social justice warriors cannot handle. You tell somebody that is obese that they need to lose weight because you're basically killing yourself by doing that, and they get bent out of shape. It's like, well, no, you should accept me for being fat, or you should be supportive of me. It's like fat is healthy. It's not. There's nothing about being that fat that is healthy. You're essentially killing yourself, and if I'm just going to stand here and go, oh no, it's okay, I'm just enabling you. But that's obviously not what people want to hear. Another thing is, like I said, and I mentioned this in another video, is the wage gap. It doesn't exist, and that is a fact. There have already been many academic resources and a lot of outlets out there who have already debunked this. Nobody who is serious actually takes this seriously. But the fact is, people are more about, it's like they feed into your prejudice. They feed into your inherent biases. So you just take it at face value. You go, oh yeah, no. Women get paid less than men. Okay, yeah, we're going to campaign for women's rights. It's like Equal Pay Act has already been out there for 4 decades. It's as egalitarian as it gets. But most of the time, women don't want to hear, I shouldn't say women, third wave feminists and liberals don't want to hear that the reason why you're not getting paid as much as a man is the choices that you make and you not being assertive enough. It's just a fact. That is one of the reasons why I also don't really associate with being a social justice warrior. I know my ideas are all over the place, but I really wanted to make this video and get it off my chest. It's a bitter pill to swallow once you get out of it. I've swallowed the red pill. I look at the facts now, and that's what I am going to base a lot of my values and beliefs on. I am an advocate for change, but in order for change to happen, in order for leaders to even govern this country properly, it needs to be on solid facts, not feelings, not catering to the biases and the prejudices of other people. That's how progress is going to happen, And that's sometimes the tough thing about my generation specifically, the millennial generation. A lot of us tend to kind of, sort of, from a statistical standpoint, are more advocates of socialism, or we're social justice warriors, or we're liberals. We've been told we're special our whole lives. So, as a result, we can't handle disagreement, which goes back to my first point about intolerance, If somebody else is different from you and has a different outlook that may not be conducive, may not be aligned to your beliefs, you want nothing to do with them. You don't even want to have a conversation with them. And, that fosters the greatest sort of example of ignorance out there is when people don't want to investigate anymore, Oh, okay, women get paid less than men. Okay, I agree with that. I'm going to take that at face value instead of going into it and really investigating it. And you'll find that a lot of those myths, a lot of those facts, so-called facts that have been pushed towards you are in fact false. Once you investigate it further, you'll realize that it's not true. Are you really that surprised? If you're a liberal out there or you're a left-wing social justice warrior, have you really gone out there and investigated? Does what you say actually make sense? Is there a white patriarchy out there that's oppressing you every single day and is singularly responsible for all of your problems? Does any of that make sense? Or people, white people, you are automatically born with white privilege. And because you are white, you cannot talk about race. You cannot talk about discrimination. You have got to be kidding me. Is that really the world that we live in now? It's definitely a world I don't want to live in anymore, which is why I don't want anything to do with it anymore. If social justice warriors are open to having a discussion and opening to sort of embracing new ideas and maybe even taking their egos out of the equation and understanding what the truths are and being accepting of different ideas, then maybe we can make some progress. But, I have renounced my faith from the so-called Church of Social Justice. and I am no longer one anymore. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. I know it was kind of ranty in the beginning, and my thoughts were a little bit scattered, but I appreciate you guys listening and tuning into my video. You know, it's not easy to talk about some of these things that I'm going into in my YouTube channel, simply because, number one, I feel like I'm singularly one of the few people who feel this way, especially in the area that I live in. And, you know, as a young person who is sort of navigating the world and seeing it for what the facts are, what it really is, you know, these are just some of the ideas that go through my head. These are the things that I am thinking about. And I would like to know what you guys think as well. I am open to feedback, open to learning more. If you guys have any helpful resources or you have any thoughts, any responses to my video, please do leave them below. Leave this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. Again, my name is Zach, and I will see you in the next video.